Hey there, welcome to How to Create and Sell Your First Online Program, even if you haven't created or sold anything online before. So I'm Ann Shibani, publisher at Summit Press, and we are all about books that mean business. We are producers and publishers of expert positioning books like the one you see right here, Bet on You by 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗓. And these are books that bring clients and customers to your door. But even though we're publishers of high quality, highly polished books, we're here to tell you that it is not about the book. In fact, it's about what you do with the book. And here today is Walt Hampton, Director of Acquisitions, our big marketing wizard. And he's going to show you exactly how to turn your book into an online course.
Well, hello, friends. I'm so happy to be with you today. This is one of our writers, authors, course creators, Roland Cochrane. In just 5 days, even before his book was published, he brought in $250,000 with the program related to his book. And I'm going to share with you more about how he did that and how you can do that. But what would it be like for you to, even as you are bringing your book out into the world, bring in $250,000? You see, here's the problem. The problem is, for those of us like me, like Ann Shibani, who are passionate about writing, passionate about getting books out into the world, after a lot of work, even the best of books often have print runs of thousands and not tens of thousands of copies. Even though we at Summit Press are able to guarantee our authors' best-selling status, even then the reach is limited and the return on your investment of time and money is limited. But there is an amazing opportunity, the opportunity to impact a lot of lives all around the globe. There is the opportunity to make a lot of money, and to do that through keynotes, through workshops, through products and programs. And it is the area of products and programs that I want to focus on with you today. And when you think about creating a product or a program that is related to your book or your book idea, there are extraordinary benefits. And the benefits are like amazing, because with a book, together with a product or a program, you have clients and customers who are drawn to you like a magnet. Event planners will seek you out. You are, as I said, making a difference in the lives of others all around the world. You have a steady, reliable, predictable, and sustainable, dare I say, revenue stream. It's not just a revenue stream from book royalties. In fact, you're actually achieving that holy grail. You're making money while you sleep. And as a result of having a program or product related to your book or your book idea, you will have freedom, prosperity, and peace of mind. So back to Roland here. Roland is a business coach who works in the mortgage industry. And Roland helps his clients create unique brand identities. And he is still in the process of finalizing his amazingly powerful book. It will probably be published sometime in 2022, but he was passionate about getting this book out into the world in a big way, first with the idea of his program related to the book. It's called In Design. And over the course of 5 days, Roland taught the framework that will be the framework for his book. And at the end of those 5 days, invited the people who participated in those 5 days to enroll in his program. And at the end of the day, at the end of that enrollment period, he brought in $250,000. And this is even before the book hits the market. More about that in a little bit. But I also want to underscore for you how big this marketplace is for products and programs. Over the last few years, this market has grown by double digits year over year. The online education space, the space for products and programs, is now estimated to be $317 billion, and it's growing all over the world, especially now. There's no reason that you can't have a piece of this huge marketplace. And friends, this is not rocket surgery about creating products and programs. In fact, the elements, as you'll discover today, are pretty basic. My first course that I ever bought, maybe 15 years ago, when I first got into the personal and professional development world, as we first began to do course creation, was a set of DVDs. Yes, it's that long ago. Some of you don't even remember what DVDs were, but they were a set of 6 DVDs. And they came in the mail. Do you remember that? They came in the mail and they landed on my doorstep. And the DVDs were a video of the course creator presenting his material in a rather poorly lit hotel room with rather bad audio. And I paid $1,000 for this course. And I loved it because the value of the content was so very, very high. So this gentleman who produced this course way back 12, 15 years ago, all it was a video of him teaching this course live. So one of the things I want to invite you to do right now as we jump into the framework, the meat of this program, is I'd like to invite us all to suspend what they call in the movies the fourth wall. I would ask you to not only hear and take in and take notes and write down what I'm about to share with you, but the program that I'm about to share with you could be the framework for your program. So you could have a program like that very first one. You could have a program like I'm about to share with you, and there are lots of other variations that you can employ, as you will see. So I'm going to share with you now 5 key steps for creating your first online program, but not only just creating it, but marketing it, enrolling people into it, delivering it, and then revising it and repeating and relaunching it. And these 5 steps will take you the distance. They will give you what you need to get started. And so I invite you to settle back and to take the notes and to then go off and implement these steps. I am not selling anything off the back of this webinar. There will not be some big pivot to an offer at the end of this webinar. I will be sharing with you how you might, by application, work with Summit Press publishers around course creation, but that's going to be at the very end, and it's something you can do or not do. But put your wallets away, settle back, don't worry. There's no big pitch that's coming as a result of our time here together today. Step one, when thinking about creating your course, your product, your program related to your book or book idea, remember, everything is about problem and solution. Even as you are thinking, if you are working with one of our content developers, if you are working with one of our ghostwriters at Summit Press, if you're building your own expert positioning book, the book actually has to go out into the world and help people solve problems. Maybe it's one big problem, maybe it's several problems within the book. But people buy expert positioning books, sure, to be motivated and uplifted and all of that. But ultimately, if they're coming to you as an expert in a particular field, they want help. And so they're picking up your book or that book that may be out in the world this year or next year, and they want your help as an expert. Similarly, in creating a product or a program, creating your program to help them solve a problem. Parenthetical here, suspending that fourth wall. I'm sharing this program with you today to help you solve the problem of how do I create and sell my first online program? There's a problem. I want to create an online program. I'm not quite sure where to start. Well, you're in the right place, friends. And as you think about your product or program related to your book or your book idea, I'm inviting you to ask yourself, what is the problem that you want to solve with your online program? And this is key, friends. You want to solve a problem that your ideal client, the client who's going to read your book, the client who's going to enroll in your program, solve a problem that your client avatar wants solved. Because all too often, what happens is that we sit in our studios, we sit in our studies, and we come up with amazing ideas about what kind of product or program we could get out into the world, and we get all excited about it, and then we go out into the world and we create it and we go to sell it and nobody buys it. You see, here's the challenge. We as writers, as authors, as publishers, as experts, as course creators, we know what our clients need. Damn, we know what our clients need. They need this and they should buy it. But what our clients want isn't always what they need. And we actually need to sell our potential clients what they want so that we have the privilege and the opportunity to give them what they need. And so we need to show up solving a problem that our clients want solved. And we need to use the language that our prospective clients use. So how do we do this? Well, it's pretty simple, except it's not necessarily the thing we do. We need to listen to our marketplace. There are great ways to do that, to listen into conversations at networking events, to listen in on Facebook Lives, to listen to other people as they present their ideas or their challenges. We can, this is the most powerful tool of all, we can actually go out and ask prospective clients. We can say, hey, I'm thinking about creating a program that might help people create their first online program. If I created a program like that, would you be interested? If I created a program like that, what would you want to see in it? You can ask lots of different clients, prospective clients, colleagues, but the more you ask, the more actual intel you gather, the more effective your product and program will be, and the easier it will be to market and enroll people in it. The third thing you can do is to research what people are looking for and needing. There's a great tool called trends.google.com, trends.google.com, that will allow you to see, it's a free tool, what people are searching for on Google in their words, and you can compare the search phrases. So you can actually go and research what people are looking for, how they're expressing the problem that they want solved. Now, when you do this well, you show up in the marketplace with extraordinary impact. This is Dr. Mary Barbera. Summit Press was privileged to help Dr. Barbera create her book proposal, for which she is now the internationally best-selling author of. And her work is all about turning autism around. And even though Mary's book is tremendously successful in the world and has a big reach, what's really making the difference in the lives of thousands of people all around the world are her $497 programs that are available on her website. And so even though this is an extraordinary book, I think it went to a second printing even during the book launch, it's the program related to the book that is actually making the difference in the young people that she works with and the families that she brings peace of mind to. This is Oona Duncan. Oona Duncan is an internationally best-selling author. We were at Summit Press privileged in helping her write the proposal for this amazing book out in the world. Oona has low-ticket products and programs related to her book. Yes, her book is out in the world, but the thing that is generating the income comes from the structure of the book and the principles of the book. And again, these are not high-ticket items. These are products and programs that are accessible to lots of people because she wants to serve in a big way all around the world. So my invitation to you, friends, is as you're thinking and hearing me share about problem and solution, what problem could you solve? What problem would you want to solve? And even more important, what problem does your potential client, your reader of your book or the book that you are thinking about, what problem does that reader want solved? Want solved in her or his own language? Because when you nail this down, this problem solution pathway, this is the key to wealth and freedom. And it is the linchpin for everything that follows. Step number 2 in creating your first online product or program is actually designing the framework that you want to use for your product or program. And I want to encourage you to keep it simple. Silly. Apply the KISS principle. You want super simple because you want people actually to enroll in it and digest it and consume it. We've been in this business now for 15, 16 years. And you would be surprised by the number of people that we come across who sell $500 programs, $1,000 programs, $5,000 programs, and people don't consume them. They don't use them. They don't get them. They don't get through the first chapter of them or the first unit of them because they're too complicated. They're too complex. They're not easy to consume. And so the simpler your framework, the more implementable the framework, the easier it is to take in the information, the more effective this product and program will be. Remember, we live in an age of Twitter. People consume at 280 characters. That's a sad commentary often, but we need to meet our people where they are, not where we would want them to be. So we need the product to be super easy to consume. And this means having a really basic structure that people can follow. We like, when we're helping people with their course creation, to have a framework that's 3 steps or 5 steps or 7 steps. A 3-step framework, the great Steve Jobs of Apple fame, he would often do his presentations, his product releases in frames of 3. If you go and listen to his amazing Stanford keynote address, he starts it by saying, I have 3 stories to tell you, just 3 stories. 3 is a great frame. I'm using, suspending the fourth wall today, I'm using a frame of 5. I'm sharing 5 steps in this program, 5 steps that will allow you to create your first online product or program, even if you haven't created or sold anything before. A frame of 7 also will work. But a simple frame is what I invite you to consider as you're designing your program or product related to your book idea or book. Because ideas are great. And if you're on this program today, you're a person of ideas. You like ideas. But implementation is the key. And we want our enrollees, I want you to actually implement what we're doing today, to actually get in action. And so you want a basic frame. And when you have a basic frame, people can consume it and implement it. Let me move on now to the 3rd step of creating your first online program from your book idea or your book. Step 3 is about marketing and inviting people into your world and enrolling them. This is where a lot of people get bogged down. A lot of people over-engineer this. A lot of people get distracted by the noisy digital marketing world. I want to bring you back to fundamentals, because marketing is all about doing what you already know how to do. Marketing at its heart. And we at Summit Press, we teach marketing. We go deep with digital marketing. We are expert at book launches, wildly successful book launches. We are experts at big reaches around the world. We're experts about creating a huge engaged email list. All of that's good. All of that works. We like teaching that. We want our authors to learn all of that and implement that with their teams. But marketing at its heart is all about creating, nurturing, and sustaining relationships. That's marketing. People do business with people They know, like, and trust. That's the way it has always been. That's the way it is. And that's the way it will always be. And friends, the rules of relationship are not suspended in the virtual world. Even in the virtual world, we need to abide by and honor the rules of relationship. If you're on social media, if you're on LinkedIn, you likely have had the experience of connecting with someone and immediately they turn around and pitch you to buy something. And that feels horrible. None of us like to be pitched like that. You wouldn't go into a Chamber of Commerce event or an author's conference and say, hey, I've got this great book. Do you want to buy it? You would want people to buy it, but you develop relationship. You enter into conversation. You connect and you engage in that conversation and you add value to the lives of other people. And then you might invite them to look at your book or invite them into your world to enroll in your online course or program or to buy your online product. So we want to connect and invite. We're not pitching. We're not trying to shove something down people's throat. This is very, very fundamental stuff that we already know how to do. And even if we don't have big email lists, and friends, we're big believers in big engaged email lists. In fact, what we know because of our deep relationships with our agents and colleagues at the big houses is that if you ever want to get into a big house, you have to have a platform that starts with an email list of 30 to 50,000 people and a social media reach like that as well. You need none of that here. You need none of that to start. You don't need a fancy email system. You can use your Google email. You can invite people and share with them your course, your product, your program through a simple email. You can use that old thing called the phone, picking up and calling your colleagues, your strategic partners, the people who are super fans, and get them to help you invite and enroll you. You can go out on social media without any paid advertisement at all. Many of you have joined today as a result of social media posts that we shared out in social media. And just FYI, again, suspending the fourth wall here, all of our social media through which you came wasn't paid. It was organic because we wanted, in connection with this program, actually to demonstrate that we can invite in many, many participants as we have through simple social media posts. You can go out and do video. Video is a very powerful way to connect with people. And if you do this on a regular basis, those of you who came into our onto this webinar have gotten perhaps from our world, from our community, and we're happy to have you here. Probably got a lot of emails. And what we want to do is to stay in concerted action, because if we believe, as I know you do, that you have something that's really worthwhile to share with the world, just like if you had a party that you wanted people to come to, you'd be out there sharing it and inviting people and urging them to come. And so just in that way, going out in the world, connecting and inviting people is the way you will start the marketing of your first online course or program or product related to your book idea or book. Now, I would recommend, even though many of you will have some antipathy or aversion to this, to get a Facebook business page related to your product or your program. It doesn't take a whole long time. We often will hear from our authors, from our writing clients, oh, I hate social media. I hate Facebook. I get it. I understand that. But Facebook, social media in general, is a tool. Hating on Facebook for me is a little bit like hating on your hammer or your screwdriver. When you want to hang a picture, you might say, oh, I have to get my hammer, but you get your hammer because it helps you hang the picture. Facebook is a tool. And in connection with promoting a product or a program, it's a useful tool because you can go on Facebook and you can do Facebook Lives. I'm going to tell you in a little bit about Roland and others who used Facebook Lives as the primary modality for getting their program out into the world. In fact, Roland used what's called a 5-day challenge, a free challenge in which he did many Facebook Lives before he made the invitation to enroll in his program. And it was that simple modality that he allowed him in those 5 days to generate the $250,000. So, okay, you get people who want to register. That's great. How do you register your students? Well, you can register them by having them send you their email information, and you can connect with them by phone to get their further information, or you can create a very simple landing page. Many of you, not all of you, but many of you came in through a page that kind of looks like this. This was the registration page that many of you saw when you enrolled in this program. And so you can use a very simple landing page tool. We use lead pages as a very simple tool to create an enrollment page, a registration page. So these are the really simple tools that you can use to bring people in to your world. And then, of course, you want people to pay you for your product or program. Yes, you can have expensive customer relation management systems. You can have business bank accounts. I don't want you to put any of that as an obstacle in front of you. I want to encourage you to keep it simple. And so you can get paid started in a simple way like PayPal or Stripe or Venmo, or just something simple that you set up where you can accept money from people. So again, the whole idea here is through very simple steps, basic relationship-based steps, to connect with other people, to invite them into your world, to invite them to enroll in your product or program, remembering that marketing at its heart is simple. It's about relationships. Okay, so you have thought about the problem you've wanted to solve, that you know your client avatar wants you to solve. You've created a very basic, simple framework, 3, 5, or 7. Maybe it's 5, like this program. Maybe it's 3, whatever it is. You've gone out into the marketplace and you've invited and enrolled people into your world. Now you got to do what I'm doing here right now, is to deliver the goods, to strut your stuff. How do you do it? Well, again, the elements to get going are fairly simple. I purchased recently, because I was curious about it, a program that was delivered over 21 days in 21 emails. I actually have an idea for a product or program that I want to do in a similar way. So I wanted to see, I wanted to study, I wanted to research how it was done before email, before video was popular, email products and programs were fairly common, and they still work. You can deliver your product or program through a series of videos. You could do a series of 3 or 5 or 7 videos over 3 or 5 or 7 weeks, or 3 or 5 or 7 days. You can deliver the content of your teaching by video. You can do it on a free Zoom platform. Yeah, you can get Zoom webinar and all that stuff, but you don't need it to start. You could just do it on Zoom, and people are especially familiar with that. As I said, like Roland, you could do a series of Facebook Lives. Now, we worked with Roland as we worked to build his book and we worked to create his course. We guided him in a program launch framework called the Challenge Launch. And it's a very particular framework where we bring people into a closed Facebook group. We help them solve a first problem within that challenge period. For Roland, it was 5 days. And during that period of time, you add a lot of value, share a lot of content, engage with the people who are enrolled in that community, and then make the offer at the end of the challenge period. Just as an example of what's possible, Roland had a very small list. Roland had a list of less than 1,000 people. They were a list of people who were engaged. Roland ended up enrolling 1,200 people in his 5-day free challenge on Facebook. Many of those people didn't come from his list. He did organic social media promotion, and yes, Roland did some Facebook advertising that we guided him through. Roland ended up spending $9,000 on Facebook ads. You don't have to do that. But, when you think about a $250,000 launch and your total overhead is $9,000 and you take home $241,000, that's not a bad return on the investment of time and resources. And then, of course, you can use a platform like we're using here today. This platform is called Webinar Jam. There are other webinar platforms that you can use. This is a paid modality. We happen to like this platform. There are other platforms, but all of the other ways I've shared with you are free ways to help to share your product or program with people. So these are ways to deliver your product or program. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, but I want also for my students to have access to my course materials. Well, there are lots of ways to do that too. We use and we encourage our authors to use a tool called Thinkific. We use it for many of our courses, like the Influential Author Formula. There's a platform called Teachable. Mighty Networks is a lovely network that's a nice alternative to Facebook. For those of you who are involved in more sensitive areas, we have one of our authors works with families with adult children with mental illness. A lot of those people are very, very suspect and concerned about confidentiality when it comes to Facebook, even though you can create closed communities. Mighty Networks is a very nice alternative to that. Facebook, closed Facebook groups are a great place to archive materials in the files. There's a wonderful WordPress plugin for WordPress websites called Membarium that's not very expensive. If you want the Cadillac of course creation, a platform like Kajabi will work. But there are lots of alternatives, most of which are pretty simple, many of which are not expensive, where you can archive the course materials to have your students be able to access them at later points in time. And so what you want is for your program, as you deliver it, to be super consumable. The framework here, again, just suspending that fourth wall, is this frame of 5. It's so easy for all of us, including me, to go into overwhelm. I can actually share and teach with you a frame of 5. My hope, my expectation, my desire is that you're able to take this information in and go, oh, yeah, I can do that. And that you're willing to do it, that you're willing to go out and implement it. Now, caveat, red flag, warning. Many of you who come to a program like this have a servant's heart. You are passionate about what you do. You care about the people you want to serve with your book idea, with your product, with your program. Your tendency is to over deliver. I hear this all the time from our authors, from our course creators. I want to over deliver. And I say, don't over deliver. Over delivery leads to overwhelm. And you do not want your audience, your students, to be overwhelmed. You want them to understand that they themselves can take it, they can understand it, they can implement it, and they can be in action around it. And so in the delivery of this program, you're going to serve and you're going to share from that place of knowledge and expertise that you have, knowing that what you already know makes a huge difference in the world. All right, our fifth and final step is lather, rinse, and repeat. What do I mean by this? Well, way too often we see course creators, members of our community, authors, people who have ideas for products and programs. We see them take an idea out to a marketplace, and maybe they get, I don't know, maybe they get one person to enroll and they're bereft. And they say, oh my God, it didn't work. I remember back 16 years ago when we did our very first webinar like this, we were all excited. We had like 10 people on the webinar, and we got on the live platform, and we looked out at the live platform. I can actually see the numbers on the platform of how many we have here today. We looked on the platform and there was nobody who was on it, and we were bereft. And yet we soldiered on. We delivered, we played full out, and that webinar actually became one of our very first products or programs that we sold. To this day, it's one of our biggest lead magnets, bringing people into our world, because what we did was we studied what we did well and what we should do different. So when we do anything in our company, we debrief it, whether it be a live event, whether it be a webinar like this, we'll do a debrief after it. What did we do well? What went well? What did people like? What feedback did people say? Oh my God, that was amazing. And what would we do differently in the future? You know, we're delivering this with all our heart, and we want it to be really valuable to you. And as we reflect on this, we may say, well, you know, maybe we should teach this point a little bit differently. Maybe we should approach this a little bit differently. And so what I want to encourage you to do is to stay in action, even if it doesn't work the full time, to debrief it and to go back out and do it again. This may mean that you want to ask your participants what they think went well, what they would like to see more of or less of. So stay in action, ask people, do your own debrief, review it yourself. A lot of times, you know, I will always go back at and look at a webinar like this. I can see on my webinar platform when people came onto the webinar, how long they stayed, where they dropped off. And oftentimes a drop off will be a key to me to be something that I need to change. So study, ask your people, maybe send out surveys to your people. And then as a result of your debrief, go back out and do it again and do it again. We have one of the members of our community who did her program 17 times. And in each of those 17 times, there was very lackluster, very mediocre return. And on the 18th, she broke $1 million as a result of her persistence in staying in this process. So lather, rinse, repeat. We always say in our company, the magic is in the debrief. So I've shared with you 5 key steps to creating, marketing, delivering, enrolling, and relaunching your first online course. 5 key ideas. The ideas are great. What do I want to encourage you is to implement. Even imperfect implementation is better than nothing. We often joke in our company that if ideas were all that were necessary for success, we would already all be rich and thin and living on the beach. But it's action that's necessary. And what we really want you to be is in action, like this amazing client of ours, John Courtine. So John and I worked for a while as on his business idea. He is a successful advisor, wealth manager in the Chicago market. And John has a particular talent. He has a particular talent with a company culture that is extraordinary. He has extraordinary success in recruiting and retaining and inspiring his people. And he wanted to share this material with other people. So he wanted to create a program. And we began to wrestle with what the program would look like. And he couldn't get his hands around it until Ann Shabani, who introduced us here today, had a call with John and realized that what really ought to happen from the get-go was the book. And so, working with our team, John wrote the Profit Culture Formula. And as John wrote the Profit Culture Formula, the structure for the program began to fall into place. And just as the book was published into the world, John had also begun to share the product and the program that goes with the Product Culture Formula. And now he's had hundreds of thousands of dollars of success with the program related to the book. Yes, the book was a bestseller. We can guarantee that for our authors. That's a nice ego stroke. It often means there are a lot of units of the book out in the world. What we want is for our authors to enjoy the exponential impact, the exponential influence, and the great financial rewards of what happens with the book. Because as Ms. Shabani said at the beginning of our time together today, it's not about the book. It's really about what you'll do with the book. And so my question for you now is, what will you do with the book? I invite you, before we finish up, which we're going to do very shortly, before we finish up today, make a note of what next action you're going to take with the idea. Maybe you're still writing your manuscript, as John Courtine was doing. Maybe you've got a finished book in the world, like Dr. Barbera. Maybe you're somewhere in between. That doesn't matter, because no matter where you are in the process, you can begin moving this product and your program out into the world where it will help lots and lots of people. So what will you do to get your amazing work? If you've been on this program today, you have gifts and talents that only you can share in the way that only you can share them. And there is a needy world out there who needs what you have. And so what will you do? Now, as I said to you at the beginning, there is nothing that you can buy from this webinar today. We do every month have a handful of spots where we will look at where you are in the process. We will strategize with you as to what we see and think as the possibilities for a product or a program. We can assess whether we can support you in the manuscript process, the book doctoring, the publishing process. It's what we do. We only have space for about 5 calls in any one month. It's by application only. I have put up a button. If you're listening live, you'll find that button on the right side of your page, of your screen. You can click that green button and it will take you to a very short application. If we think there's a fit for a call, one of our members will reach out to you and schedule it. It will likely be with me. If you're listening to the replay, you'll find that button down below the replay page, and you can click. It'll probably be a blue button. I haven't set it up yet. You'll click the blue button. It will take you to the same application. If we can be of service to you, we would love to serve and support you. The thing that drives us at Summit Press is that we believe that we are all messengers, that we have important messages to get out in the world, that we have people to serve in a big way. And we are passionate about serving and supporting our authors to get their work out into the world so that it touches and impacts and influences lives all around the world. We are grateful for those of you who have spent this time with us today. We are grateful for your interest in this work. We are grateful for the work that you are thinking on and writing on and intending to get out in the world. We wish you the very best in your work. And as I said, if we can support you, please go over there on the right-hand side, click the button. We would love to have a call with you. Make it a great rest of the day, great rest of the week. Bye for now.